Hi guys! Today I'm going to do the one tag to rule them all, which was created by Celestria and Lovely Day with Holly. I will leave their videos linked down below. Please go watch those. And as soon as I saw there was a Lord of the Rings focus tag being put forward by Christian BookTube, I just knew I had to do it. Because I am a little obsessed. So let's just get started because this is a kind of a long tag. So part one is going to be like book-related questions where the questions are based on Lord of the Rings. And then part two are specifically Tolkien-related questions. So let's just get going with part one, because there's a lot of these. Alright, so the first one is Hobbits, a character who is a real homebody. And so the character that I have for that is Silas Marner from Silas Marner by George Eliot. Silas is a weaver who is best described probably as a miser to some extent. He does not like leaving his house. He stays put, at least at the beginning. Things change a little bit for him after a little while, but yeah, at least at the beginning, he just stays in his house and does not leave it ever. Next is Elves, a character that does not age normally. And who else could I pick for that but Peter Pan? After all children, except one, grow up. I don't really think I need to explain this one. Peter Pan just doesn't grow up. Neither do any children in Neverland, but that's kind of beside the point. But anyway, yes, so Peter Pan. Next is Dwarves, a very stubborn or loyal character. So I'm going with the loyalty angle. This is kind of a weird answer, but I'm going with Mary Lou. I don't know if we have her last name actually, but Mary Lou from Mallory Towers. Now, I just read this book series, or the first three. I loved them. I have also seen the TV show, which is also really good. But yeah, Mary Lou is very loyal to her friends once she is not as afraid. She is kind of a fraidy cat at the beginning, but she is a very loyal character, even if she sometimes is too afraid to act on that loyalty. Alright, next is Race of Men, a book with diversity in it. And for that, I went with Dream of Kings by Sharon Hink, which is one of my new favorite books of this year. This was so good. This has a bunch of different fantasy races in it, so they kind of are all humanoid, but they're just different. So, yeah. Next is Wizards, a wise character. For that, I'm going with The North Wind from At the Back of the North Wind by George MacDonald. North Wind takes Diamond, the main character, off on adventures and teaches him lots of things about life. So, North Wind is my wise character. Alright, next is Gollum, a book with a sympathetic villain. And for that, my answer is going to be Potiphar's Wife by Maysu Andrews. This book is, as you might guess by the title, about Potiphar's wife from the story of Joseph in the Bible. And she is not a character I ever thought I would root for in any story, which you don't necessarily root for her, but you understand her very much after this book, in this version of her. Obviously, this is not the biblical version, so yeah. But Potiphar's wife in this book is a character that I felt kind of sorry for. Next is Eagles, a book with an animal in the plot. Alright, so for this, I'm going with Cowler by J.J. Fisher, and there's a wolf. A very prominent wolf, as you can see from the cover, because the wolf is front and center on the cover. And the wolf is very cool, and this was a very good book too. I really liked that one. Next is Beorn, a character with mistaken or alternate identity. And for this, I went with a classic, the Scarlet Pimpernel. Because there is a character, who I will not say for spoilers, even though I guessed it pretty early. But there's a character who, shall we say, hides his identity in order to go off and save people. It's mostly what he's doing, is saving people. Yeah, I really liked this as well. This was a surprising classic to me about how much I enjoyed it. Next is Morgoth, a sinister character. For that, we're going to go with Lady Ravenwood from the Ravenwood saga. I've only read book one, but specifically the main character's mom. Regina, I think is her name. But anyway, whatever her name is. Or something like that. Basically, the premise of this book is that this girl's entire family have been assassins for a long time in history, and her mom is no different, and her mom is kind of the worst, so yeah, we're going with her, because she's very sinister, and plus, like, Sinister to me also implies sneaking around in the background and doing things surreptitiously. And, you know, that very much is what they do. So, alright, next is Merry and Pippin, an iconic duo. And this was hard because there's not a lot of, like, I don't know if I've read very many books that just have, like, a pair of characters. I mean, you have lots of larger groups, but a pair is hard. But finally, I settled on Lizzie and Jane from Pride and Prejudice. And yes, I know that there are 5 sisters, but really Lizzie and Jane are the two who hang out and confide in each other a lot. So yes, I love Lizzie and Jane. They're just so wonderful, and they play off each other really well. I love any scene where, like, Jane is being, you know, perfectly sweet and kind, and Lizzie's just like, uh-huh, sure, okay. Yeah, but they play off of each other really well. They're just really well balanced. I really like those two. Alright, next is The Ring, a book with a significant object as part of the plot. And for that, I went with The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart, which, I don't know how far into the book the actual object is named, so I don't necessarily want to tell you what it is, but if you've read this book or seen the TV show, you know what I mean. There is an object that is a very significant part of the plot here. And yeah, this was a really good book. Not a Christian book, but a clean middle grade series. Yeah, really liked it. Next is Hobbiton, a book showing a simple, quiet lifestyle. And for that, we're going with Little Women. Because there's, yeah, you just see these, you know, 4 sisters just living their own lives, and they live very simply. It's a very sweet book, and they don't go off on adventures all the time, even though Joe kind of wishes they did. But they're just, yeah, it's just a really wonderful, sweet story. And very simple and quiet life. Alright, next is The Fellowship, Found Family. And for this, I'm going with the Lords of Barenfell from the Barenfell Prophecies series. These 7 kids meet each other, I think they're like 13 or something, and they're told basically, oh, by the way, you're not actually humans, you're elves. You're from this other world, and you have secret powers. You were kidnapped as babies and dropped off here. And they get dragged back to their other world to go save it. And they're kind of just like, what? And so they stick together because they're all each other has. So yeah, I'd say they're a pretty good example of found family. All right. Next is The Two Towers, a book with a significant landmark in the story/setting. And for this, I went with The Sisters of Seaview for this one by Julie Klassen, because the whole book is really, like, they've set up their house now to be a, kind of like a hotel, which would be modern, what we would call it in the modern day. So it's all about, like, it's all set at their house, just about everything is revolving around how they're trying to keep their house and not lose it because they're now out of income because their father died. So, yeah, may not be exactly what this prompt was going for, but I thought it fit decently well. Alright, next is Return of the King, a book with a royalty element. For that, I'm going with Anison's Risk, which I could also go with Darien's Rise, actually, from the Passages series by Paul McCusker. These are actually spin-offs, sort of Adventures in Odyssey, for those of you who know what that is. It's retelling Bible stories in a pseudo-fantasy world. It's a little more modern than most fantasy worlds, but it's really good. Anison's Risk is a retelling of Esther, and Darien's Rise is a retelling of David. So those both have royalty elements in them, actually. Alright, next is The Silmarillion, a book that spans many years. I found a book that spans almost more than The Silmarillion. Not quite. Silmarillion spans a lot. There's a lot there. But this book, Israel My Beloved by Kay Arthur, spans just about, not quite as many. But this book, it starts out with, like, in the time period of, like, the Babylonian Empire. And it goes through the return of Jesus, which is, you know, still future. So, and it just, basically it's retelling the story of the Jewish people through that whole time period. So yeah, this spans a lot of years. Next is Potatoes, a book with memorable food in it. And for that, I'm going with The Chronicles of Narnia. I was just going to do the horse and his boy, but as I thought about it more this morning, I actually realized that they, like, all have memorable food in them. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you've got the beavers feed the Pevensies supper. And so you have the, like, they have fish and a marmalade roll is what I remember from that. And then I think Father Christmas also gives them a tea. So I'm assuming there's food involved there. And of course you have the obvious food from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe being Edmund's Turkish Delight. Or, well, the White Witch's Turkish Delight. Then Prince Caspian, you've got the apples that they eat at the beginning. And the grapes that, I think it's Silenus or Bacchus, one of those two, makes for them. And the dirt that Edmund eats because it looks like chocolate. If you've not read the books and you think I'm making that up, I promise you I am not. Edmund eats dirt because it looks like chocolate. Kid definitely has a sweet tooth. Voyage of the Dawn Treader, you at least have the drinkable light. At least. I think there's mention of them eating a pig, too, that Eustace kills for them when he's a dragon. Silver Chair, you've got the eels that they eat with Puddleglum. And then, of course, the whole mess, everything that happens in Harfang is somehow revolving around food. And then they go and eat with Rillion when he's under the spell. And let's see. And also the gems are said to be like fruit, I think, in the Underland. And then Horse and His Boy is the one that I remember the food from. Shasta eats with the Narnians and when they're in Tashbaan, and then he also gets fed by dwarves breakfast when he gets to Narnia. You have the Toffee Tree and Magician's Nephew, and then in the last battle, you have that tree with all kinds of different fruit there at the end. And I think they're eating a couple other times too. So yeah, lots of memorable food in Narnia. I also may just be too obsessed with Narnia and may know too many things off the top of my head. But also, The Horse and His Boy was the only one with food that I could remember. So I was like, well, that's clearly got memorable food because I can remember it at the moment. Alright, next is All That Is Gold Does Not Glitter. A character who is more incredible on the inside than they seem at first. For this, I picked Tyrone from the Alon book series, which is one of my favorite series. I really love this series. Unfortunately, I don't want to tell you why he's so incredible because that's kind of a spoiler. So, yeah, just take my word for it. He's very incredible. Let's see. Next is You Shall Not Pass, a series that shouldn't have continued as far as it did. For example, books 1 and 2 were great, but 3 and beyond were awful. This one I don't really have a good answer for. The only thing I could come up with is Swords of the Six. I liked book 1 okay, but book 2 just could not hold my interest. I'm thinking about trying it again. I don't know. I don't even know if I still have book 2, actually. But yeah, I liked book 1 quite a bit, but book 2 just I couldn't follow, so I guess that's my answer. Alright, next is I Am No Man, a book with an unexpected twist. And for this, I'm going to go with On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness by Andrew Peterson. But this is book 1 of the Wingfeather Saga, and I'm not telling you anything else because if I tell you about a twist, that is spoilers. But rest assured, there is a really good twist in this one. And then finally, Rings of Power, a controversial book. So for this, I'm going with Jane Eyre, because lots of people hate it. I like it okay, like, it's not my favorite classic, but I do really enjoy Jane Eyre. Yeah. But I think a lot of people strongly dislike it, so that will be my answer. Alright, now, that's all for part 1. So now, on to part 2. So these are questions about Lord of the Rings itself. So, which character do you personally connect to the most? I'm not sure. I kind of feel like my answer is going to be Faramir. Just because of, well, first of all, he has that incredible speech. I do not love the sword for its sharpness, or the arrow for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend. That's so good, and he also seems to be very much a lover of books and wisdom and things like that, which I love books, so yeah. Which Frodo or Bilbo would also fit for the loving books. And they would fit for the loving food, too, so maybe Frodo or Bilbo also. Let's see. What is your favorite and least favorite thing about Middle-earth? Oh, I don't know if I even have a least favorite. Favorite? I don't know. I love how Tolkien just wrote such an incredible story in a world that just seems so real. And the characters are just so realistic and so lovable and just so complex. All of the characters. I don't know if there's any characters in Lord of the Rings that aren't complex to some extent. Except for maybe Eorith the Wise Woman. That might be the only person. And the fact that I know her name tells you how much of a Lord of the Rings nerd I am, doesn't it? Let's see. Least favorite? Yeah, I don't know if I have one. Maybe just because it's so hard to get into. Like, at the first time you're reading Lord of the Rings. That might be my least favorite. I don't know. Who is your favorite character? Éowyn. 100% Éowyn. I just adore her so much. I love her arc, too. Like, I do have a soft spot for the warrior women. So Éowyn fits that one. But, just her arc, like I said, her arc, too. The way that she grows and changes. I really appreciate Éowyn. I think I appreciate her arc more now than I did the first time I read it and first time I watched the movies. Alright, how many of Tolkien's books have you read? And what I've written down here is an embarrassing amount. So, I have Tolkien's bibliography pulled up here so I can actually just, like, list off the books, because this would have taken too long if I didn't. So, I've read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I'm counting those as 3 separate books. Let's see, I've read The Silmarillion. I have read Unfinished Tales. I have read The History of Middle-earth, which is 12 volumes. So that's 6 and 12 is 18. Let's see, I've read Children of Hurin. I've read Beorn and Luthien. I've read Fall of Gondolin. I've read Nature of Middle-earth. I've read Lay of Outru and Itrun. Which these are not all Middle-earth. Like, Outru and Itrun is not Middle-earth related. Let's see. I have read the Tolkien Reader, which I'm just going to count that as 1 because my version is just 1. But that includes The Homecoming of Beornoth, Beornhelm's Son. Sure. On Fairy Stories, Leaf by Niggle, Farmel Giles of Ham, and The Adventures of Tom Bombadil. So if you counted all 4 of those separately all those separately instead of as 1, then I would be higher. I'm just going to count it as 1 because I just have 1 book. Smith of Wootton Major, I've read that one. Let's see. So that is, I think, 20? No, that's 25. And I have read, the bind-up of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Sir Orfeo and Pearl. I've read the Father Christmas Letters. I have read Mr. Bliss. I read Beowulf. I think it's Beowulf and the Critics, specifically, is what I've read. I tried Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun. I could not finish it. I just DNF'd it because of content. Not like too inappropriate, just I didn't want to read it anymore. I read Fall of Arthur. And, okay. So I think that's 30. Not counting my DNF. If I count my DNF, that's 31. The only ones that I'm still kind of interested in reading, by the way, that I haven't read, I need to read Roverandom. I have not read that one. And, yeah, I think the only other Roverandom, and maybe Fall of Numenor, but that's just gonna be, like, a lot of stuff that was in History of Middle-earth, so I'm not sure if I really want to read that. Having just read History of Middle-earth this year. Hoo boy. So yeah, 30, 31. So yeah, that's a lot. You might say I'm a little obsessed, so yeah, 31. 30. If you count just the finished ones. How do you feel about the Peter Jackson movies and the Amazon Rings of Power? It's complicated. So, my first introduction to Lord of the Rings was through the Peter Jackson movies. I definitely still have a soft spot in my heart for them, and for the Hobbit movies as well. However, the further I get into the actual, like, world of the books, the less and less I look at them as perfect adaptations. I definitely think they have lots of issues as adaptations. This could be a whole video in and of itself, so I am not going to go into my problems that I have with the Peter Jackson movies. But yes, I do enjoy them. It's just, as a purist, I find myself liking them less and less the more that I get into the books. I think that's probably a fair assessment. And then Rings of Power was a pile of just garbage. It was just such a hot mess. Yeah, Rings of Power was a hot mess. I liked the casting for Galadriel. I liked Disa. And I liked the Elrond and Durin relationship. Did not like anything else about either of their characters, but I liked them together. And I kind of liked Poppy and Nori just because they're cute. And I liked the elf guy. Arondir, I think was his name. Didn't like his romance with Bronwyn, because, like, no. But he was, like, the only acting elf in the whole thing. Yeah. Elinda was pretty good, too. But, like, everything else about this show, mostly the plot. The plot was terrible. Most of the characters that we know were terrible. They did a lot better job on their original characters than they did on their canon characters. Yeah, they did. So, yes. I have, again, Rings of Power thoughts could be a full video in and of itself. And honestly, maybe that should be. Maybe I should just rewatch it all and make a video about that. So, yes. And then finally, do you have any Middle-earth merchandise? I have a little. I don't have as much as I would like to have. But yes. So, the first thing that I have is, I have the One Ring. It's mine. My precious. Just kidding. And I actually have it on a chain that I usually wear it on as well, because I have very tiny fingers, and it did not come in a size small enough for my fingers. So, my aunt and uncle who got this for me for my high school graduation, they got a chain for me to wear it on as well, which actually works really well. Just with the lore as well. And then I have the Evenstar necklace, so Arwen's necklace. I have this. I don't remember where I got this. My cousin probably got this for me. Probably. Yeah. I really love this. I wear this one a lot. I hadn't worn it in a while, but that's because I am moving and things are crazy. And then also, again, because I'm moving, I don't have it with me, but I have a Funko Pop of Galadriel. That's all the merchandise I could think of. I bet as soon as I post this video, I will remember something else. But yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. So, this has been the one tag to roll them all. Thank you again so much to Celestria and Lovely Day with Holly for coming up with this tag. And like I said, I will leave their videos linked in the description down below. So please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, let me know in the comments what who your favorite Lord of the Rings character is. And what your favorite thing about Middle-earth is. We don't need to go into least favorite, just favorite. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Bye.